Hello again. So in this video, we're going to go over the contract of residential lots in a community title scheme. So this pretty much is the sales contract that's going to get drawn up and given to you when someone puts an offer in. But this one here is for community title schemes, which means it's only for units or duplexes that are in a community title scheme. A normal house, that's obviously not. If you're in a unit, you pay body corporate, or in a townhouse sort of situation or anything like that, and you have to pay body corporate because there is common land. It's in a title scheme, so this is the contract that is filled out. So with the contract, when you do receive it, it doesn't have the date on it. You'll notice that this section here where it says contract date, this is the very last thing that is filled out on it. So this here is going to be blank when you receive it. This gets filled out once everyone has signed it and the agent gets it back. They then put the date in there, and then it gets sent off to the solicitors. So this is just the seller's agent. So that's going to be me this time. So that's all my information. So the seller here, so that's going to be you. So it'll be Mr. and Mrs. John Smith. Your information here. And this one here will be the co-owner as well. So this will be you. This might be your husband or your wife. So this one here and this section here is the seller's solicitor. So this is going to be your solicitor. Before the contract is done, we obviously have to work out who your solicitor is going to be, so that this information can be put in here. So on the next page, we have the buyer and then the buyer's solicitor. So the buyer's agent this year, unless the buyer has a buyer's agent, which is very rare, this is going to be left blank. This one here is going to be the buyer's information, and this here is going to be the buyer's solicitor. So this section here. This here, property, this is going to be the property information. So address, suburb, state, postcode, lot on, so on and so forth. Scheme, all the community title scheme information is going to be put in there, which is going to be found in the disclosure statement that we'll get from the body corporate manager. So this is the disclosure statement. So this has here community title scheme number is this. That's the name, that's the lot, and that's the plan number. So this here, this just goes through obviously what the admin funds are, what the sinking funds are, what has to be paid on what date. This has to be a part of the contract as well. So the seller or the seller's agent has to sign this, and the buyer also has to sign this to acknowledge it. So here, there's a little bit more information. So a little bit more about the actual lot itself. What's in the sinking fund as of what date, and the insurance. So we'll go back to the contract. So as I said, this is the property information just here. So we've got included fixtures and included chattels. So excluded fixtures, sorry. So excluded fixtures. Let's say there is a outdoor patio, for example, and you're taking that with you. We'd have to put in here that the outdoor patio is an excluded fixture. Obviously, that would have to be discussed before the contract went into place, but that has to be in the contract. Included chattels, so that's going to include stuff like the dishwasher. If you're going to leave the washing machine there, if you're going to leave any furniture there, if someone's buying the property with all the furniture in it, that all has to be listed in the chattels there. Or it can be there can be an extra attached to. So let's say we've got an extra A. As per Annexure A, and we could have a document called Annexure A attached to this contract that will have the list of all the stuff that's in the house, because you're obviously not going to fit a whole property's worth of stuff in that little box there. So here, this is where it gets in a bit more detail about the price and so on and so forth. So price, so the deposit holder, that's going to be the real estate agent. So that will be, deposit holder will be Bribie Island Real Estate. Deposit holder's trust account name, so that there would be Bribie Island Real Estate trust account, if that's what it's called, the bank, the BSB, and account number. Before you pay any deposits, make sure you always ring the agent and double check that the bank account details are correct. Emails can be intercepted and changed, and also there is also the possibility that a mistake could be made on this. You don't want to transfer $40,000-$50,000 to the wrong account. That'd be a nightmare. So purchase price, let's just say this unit here has been purchased for $900,000. This is obviously all discussed prior to the contract, and everyone agrees to it. This is just obviously the legal binding document. So we're going to have a deposit of $9,000, and this here balance deposit if payable. Normally there's not going to be a balance deposit, but let's say it is. So we're going to pay another $10,000 when it goes unconditional. So this means here initial deposit. Buyer signs a contract. So this one here within 3 business. That's not even how you spell business. Within 3 days. So we're paying $9,000 within 3 days of the contract, and then another $10,000 once the property is unconditional, which I didn't spell that right either. Default entrance finance. If no figure is inserted, the contract rate applies at the contract date published by the Queensland Law Society. So that one there, we're just going to leave that blank. That's not something that normally happens, so we're just going to not worry about that right now. So finance amount, unless, so we just go, this one here would just say suffice to complete. We're obviously not going to go into detail of how, no one needs to know how much the person is getting. So we're just gonna put that there. Financer, that one there is just going to be of the client's choice, and the finance date, that's going to be what was discussed previously. So let's say 30 days from contract. So that 30 days is not from when you sign, it's the 30 days from the date that's going to be at the top here once it's completed. So pest and building, so inspection date. So we're going to, if the buyer wants a pest and building, we're going to put the days in. So 15 days for pest and building. Matters affecting the property. Is the property resold with any encumbrances? Yes, it is. So that's going to be on the title search there. So this is residential tenancy agent or rooming accommodation agent. So this here, this is going to be if the property is a rental or has been recently. So has the property been subject to a residential tenancy agency or rooming accommodation agreement at any time within the period of 12 months for the contract? So if it has, we're going to say yes. If yes, the day of the last rent increase. So let's say the last rent increase was 1st of March 2024. So that means the person buying the property can't increase the rent until this date here, which is important for them to know, because they might be thinking they're going to buy it, put the rent up $100, but they can't. This has only been recently added to contracts. So if you've recently sold a property in the last 5-10 years, you probably haven't seen this, or even in the last 2-3 years. So this is just the tenant's information. So tenant name, the term of the lease. So it might be a 6-month fixed lease. Fixed. I spelled that wrong as well. The starting date, the end date, the rent, the bond, the managing agent's information here. Pool safety for non-shared pools. So obviously if it's a unit, it's normally going to be a shared pool. Is there a non-shared pool on the lot? No, there probably is not going to be a non-shared pool. Pool safety for non-shared. Yep. Is there a non-shared pool on the lot? No. If the answer is yes, is there a pool compliance certificate for the non-shared pool at the time of the contract? No. Statutory warranties and rights. So the seller gives notice to the buyer of the following matters: latent of patent defect in common property or body corporate assets, actual or contingent or expected liabilities of body corporate circumstance in retaliation to affairs of body corporate, expectation to warranty in clause 7.4, proposed body corporate resolution. So this one here, this will be information that we would have gathered from the body corporate. 9 times out of 10, they're all going to be left blank because there's not going to be any matters that is going to be there's not going to be any matters of the body corp. So this one here, willing to sell the Body Corporate and Community Management Act, and the contract includes warranties by the seller about the body corporate and the scheme land. Breaches of the warranties might result in damage claims or termination by the buyer. So this one here, like if there's anything going on in the body corporate, like the body corporate's going to tell us when we go to get all the documents from them. So we'll know this. Normally that's going to be left blank. So additional body corporate information, interest schedule, lot entitlement of lot, aggregate interest schedule, lot entitlements, contributions are scheduled lot. So this is found on this document, which is the disclosure statement. So the information we're looking for is here. So aggregate 27, lot entitlement 4. So interest, so 4, so we've got 27, 27, 4, 4. Insurance policies, that's going to be provided by the body corporate. So we've got a certificate of currency which has to be attached to the contract. So that's going to have all the information there. So it's going to have the policy number, which is that there, and then obviously all this stuff here. So that's going to get filled out by that. Electrical safety switch and smoke alarms installed in the residence, yes. The seller gives notice to the buyer that the smoke alarms are compliant. Yep. So electrical safety switch, smoke alarm. If they're not, same as with the Form 6, as I discussed, you just have to get it done before the settlement. The smoke alarm certificate will have to be attached to this contract as well. So any neighbourhood disputes, there's not going to be. GST withholding, is the buyer registered for GST and acquiring the lot for credible purposes? So obviously that depends if the buyer is or not. The seller gives notice to the buyer in accordance with section 14255 of the withholding law. The buyer is not required to make a payment under so on and so forth. The buyer is required to make a payment. So this one here, you'll need to get your solicitor to send a letter so you don't have to. The buyer does not have to withhold the capital gains. You can keep that and then pay it when tax time comes. So your solicitor will sort that out. Special conditions. So this is any special conditions. So let's say it's subject to something. That's not pest and building or finance. So this one here would be subject to the sale of your property, so on and so forth, like that. This here, all these have to be written by a solicitor. The agent can't write these. Obviously, there's templates and stuff that solicitors give out, but you can't just go writing, this is subject to the sale of this property. There's proper things that have to be put in there. If you put something in there and it's not right, the solicitor's going to bring it up anyway. Settlement date. So that's going to be the settlement date that's discussed. And then this here is obviously just place of settlement is going to be where the property is. So this is pretty much the end of this section here. So buyer, seller. So signatures. Just note that no witness is required if you use an electronic signature. So normally you have to initial every single page if it's paper, but if it's an electronic document, so DocuSign, you don't need a witness, and you also don't need to initial. So these are all the terms and conditions of the contract. It does go on quite a lot. If you have any questions about these, you do have to contact a legal representative or solicitor. The real estate agent is not legally allowed to give you any information on any of this stuff. So if we keep going down, pretty much that's the end of it. So this stuff, if there's anything you have questions about in this section, so from page 7 downwards, this is where you have to get legal advice. And just remember, at the end of this contract, you need to have the pool safety certificate attached, if there is one, smoke alarm compliance, the disclosure statement, and the certificate of currency. So that's it. That's all done. Thank you for watching.